With the new featured exotic armors list comes fresh builds, and with it, some that are whack and some that are wild. So let's talk about Wings of Sacred Dawn. When Edge of Fate launched, there were several exotics that received changes, and one of the ones I was most interested in trying was Wings of Sacred Dawn. In the changes, solar weapon final blows in mid-air would now grant restoration and would reload your stowed weapons, which sounded pretty cool, and I thought it might be an interesting way to build into restoration. So I threw them on, loaded into the shooting range, jumped, aimed down sights, and immediately thought, oh wow, this is awful. Fundamentally, Wings feel absolutely abysmal to me. Outside of their perks, which I also think are lackluster, just the mechanics of completely stalling yourself in midair to do nothing but plink away at enemies feels terrible. The second you ADS, you completely lose your directional control, and every time I did it, I just felt totally helpless. It's the exact same feeling as standing still on the ground, except that you don't have the option of doing that behind cover, and you can't reposition without dropping all the way to the ground and jumping up again. If an enemy moves slightly or you're not in a completely open space, everything falls apart and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, fair warning before I get into things, this is going to be a bit of an odd video for me, and it's kind of going to be off the cuff. The purpose of the series is to talk about how fun I find different exotics, builds, and playstyles, and to experiment with my options, but Wings just feel so bad, I seriously can't stomach using them. I try really hard to keep the focus of this channel on fun and to put things in a positive light, but in all honesty, I have nothing good to say about Wings. They feel so wrong to me that I genuinely felt physically uncomfortable while I was using them. As you learn to play first-person shooters, you'll naturally develop smoother movement, doing things like moving between cover or strafing as you shoot, since they're extremely fundamental aspects of the genre. Just as you learn to handle your weapons, you learn to handle your character behind them, and Destiny specifically has extra layers of that with movement abilities like glides, or even subclass abilities like Icarus Dash. All these things come together to provide a sense of flow and control that lets you react to your situations and play how you want. Now, with that in mind, when was the last time you were in a gunfight and you ran into the middle of the field, completely stopped in your tracks while staring down your scope, and just kind of hoped for the best? For me, the answer is never, because that just feels completely antithetical to the way that FPSs and Destiny work, but that's exactly what you do with Wings. Enemies are relatively smart in Destiny. They can flank you, use cover, pressure you with grenades or abilities, and as a result, using your environment is important so you can properly engage with the wide range of foes you'll face. Standing still can make sense on the ground since you can find good cover and force enemies to engage you from an angle you want, but it just doesn't make sense to me to do it in the middle of the sky, completely exposed, when you're essentially doing nothing. Not only is your movement extremely limited with Wings, but so are your weapon choices, since the only time you can hang in the air is while ADSing. If you have to reload, you drop. If you use a weapon that needs to hipfire, you'll drop. If you use an ability, you'll drop. You either need to use a weapon with a large magazine, something that can refund ammo, or a bow, since you can reload while aiming down sights. If you don't, in order to take advantage of Wings, you'll have to be constantly jumping up and down after each reload, and it just feels super clunky and awkward. For the series, I usually try to use an exotic weapon that's also featured, and since Wings needs a solar weapon, there's loads of options, but the only one I found that would even work with Wings is Polaris, since it refunds your shots. I thought Hierarchy would be cool, but even with heat rises on, every time you need to unscope and set up a ring, you drop so fast it messes with the trajectory so much, it just makes it really difficult to work around. You can set up a ring above you before you jump, but then you have to jump and hover just right behind it, and you're restricted to just that one angle. If you drift too far or the enemies move slightly, you're totally out of luck. You also lose the Catalyst draw time bonus after about 3 or 4 shots, so to use it properly, you'll have to get a ring, set it up above you, jump, ADS, shoot maybe 3 arrows through it and hope you get another ring, drop, set another ring above you, and do it all over again. It just feels really awkward and it's not worth it at all. Forgetting about the weapons, since it's only one of many issues, Wings suffer from the exact same problem that Prometheum Spurs do, which is that you can easily replicate and even outperform the exotic's benefits just with your subclass choices. An example with Prometheum Spurs, one of its main benefits would be that if you use an Empowering Rift, any kills within it can cure you, so you get a mix of damage and healing. Instead though, you can just build into Restoration and Radiant in the subclass, and since the damage increase for Empowering Rift and Radiant is the same, you can get a better overall package with Restoration and Radiant than sitting in a Rift, and you can do it all while being mobile. With wings, the entire exotic is replaced by using heat rises, a restoration grenade, and Ember of Empyrean. Not only that, but I think it's way better since if you use heat rises without wings, you can strafe mid-air while ADSing, and if you stop moving, drop a tiny bit, and hit your glide again, you can hang in the air just like with wings. If you need to reposition, you can strafe even while aiming or not, and you can find a better spot, do the little drop and glide thing again, and hang out in the air as long as you'd like. It does exactly what wings does, but it feels way better by letting you move and do anything you need to, from hip firing to throwing an ability, and it doesn't all fall apart when you do so. Now, I know this is sort of coming out to be pretty scathing, and I won't sugarcoat it, that's for a reason. I'm not going to go into any details about what I ran with wings, because frankly, I don't feel like it's worth it. With Prometheum Spurs, I felt like they were really disappointing and unnecessary in a lot of ways, but I could see the vision. I could see that there'd be a certain subset of players that would find their use, whether they just didn't want to build in a restoration or they wanted to do some sort of ignition build or something. Again, I knew there was something there. With wings, I don't see it at all. I think they're a total waste of an exotic slot, and they're so awkward to build and play around. All I can say is I don't think you should use them. If you do and you like them, that's cool, but out of everything I've run in all of Destiny across all the classes, they are far and away the worst feeling exotic I've ever used. If you want to have the fantasy of flying through the air or whatever, just use heat rises and you'll be so much better off for it and you'll have way more fun. So I'm not going to drag this on because I really don't like being this negative, but I don't want you to leave without a build to take away. So instead, I've put together a Heat Rises build to scratch that air superiority itch. In my boundless creative ability, I've also come up with a perfect name for it, which is the Sacred Wings of Dawn. Pretty good, right? Anyways, for aspects, you'll want to go with Heat Rises and Hellion with a Healing Grenade and Phoenix Dive. Your fragments will be Ember of Singeing for class regen on Scorch, and Ember of Blistering for grenade regeneration on Ignition kills. Ember of Empyrean will maintain your restoration on solar kills, and Ember of Char will help to spread extra Scorch off of Ignition so you can keep your ability regen going. The weapon of choice is Hierarchy of Needs, and for your armor set, I'd recommend Collective Psyche if you have it so you can extend your restoration timer, but if you don't, Bushido is a perfect fit. By consuming your grenade, you can activate Heat Rises and fly into the air, loosing arrows as you go. Once you have a Guidance Ring, you can fire it slightly below you so you can stall yourself and fire through it, but if you need to reposition and you lose a bit of air, you'll still be behind it. Once you've got your next Guidance Ring and you have a good amount of time banked up on Heat Rises, you can activate Phoenix Dive to slam to the ground, activating Restoration ×2, spawning your Hellion, and scorching enemies to increase your class regen. Head back into the sky behind your previous ring if it's still there, or place another one to keep the cycle going, and you can maintain both Restoration and Heat Rises as you score kills. By using Eunoia as your exotic of choice, you'll be able to scorch far more enemies, increasing your damage, your ignition chances, and upping your ability regeneration. And there you go, a fully mobile, heat-seeking, God of the Sky build, perfect for raining down flames on your enemies, and also you don't look like you just bought your outfit at Party City. I really want to stress that I don't exactly love that I had to make a video like this, but in order to stay true to my vision for the series, I need to convey exactly how I felt about an exotic during my time with it. I'm in no way an authority on Destiny, and I'm certainly not a game dev, so I'm not going to say anything like it should do X, Y, and Z, but I'm also not going to put on an act about a build if I really dislike it or I don't believe in it, like I did for this one. As I mentioned earlier, if you use wings and you like them, or you're going to say something like they're great for PvP or whatever, that's cool. They're just absolutely not for me at all. I hope this video wasn't too negative or too weird, and I hope that you're able to take something away from it with the Heat Rises build. Hopefully, I'll never have to make another video like this again, and to be honest, I'm just glad it's out of the way. I won't ever be equipping wings again, and I'm so relieved I don't have to play with them anymore. So with that being said, in my opinion, it's a massive understatement that Wings of Sacred Dawn are completely whack. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. There's a dim link down below for my Heat Rises build if you want to give that a try, or if you want to use it as a base for your own spin on it. Subscribe to the channel to keep an eye out for more videos soon, and let me know in the comments what you think of Wings of Sacred Dawn.